finally awake.
Those who stood and fought upon this hallowed ground were volunteers, motivated by a sense of duty and a fervent passion to see Anglo-Saxon governance restored.
Our name. We are undeniable.
Several suspects believed to have vandalized the statue of Floyd in Brooklyn and another statue of Floyd.
White supremacist propaganda growing at an explosive rate in the U.S.
The enemies of our people will not stand unopposed. And filth and murderous rhetoric against so-called anarchists will no longer stand uncontested, festering in the public space. Total impunity!
What is up, fellas, and welcome to another episode of Phone a Fren with me, the Goob. Here we go. I'm very excited for this week. I've got some really good stuff for you. I want to reiterate what the entire purpose of this show is. For the new viewers and anyone out there, really. My whole goal with this show is, it's not for people who are already doing everything they can to fight back. It's not for people who've joined Patriot Front and are, organizing locally and building networks and already doing everything they can. If that is you and you enjoy this show, thank you. I very much appreciate it. But my goal is to get people one step closer to being that person, right? I know that there are millions, literally millions of people who are fed up and frustrated with what they see going on in the world, and millions of people who just bottle that frustration up or let it out, online and complain online, but they're not actually doing anything. They're not actually putting in the effort to change the world, to make it a world that they want to live in. And so that is the entire purpose of this show, is trying to get people to help take that first step, or if you've taken that first step, to help you take the next step, right? And I think I'm pretty well equipped for this because the person I'm describing is myself for the past 20 years, right? I am exceptionally good at building mental models. I'm basically pretty good at predicting the future. And so, since I was 13, since I was in 8th grade, I understood that wokeness would... Looks like we already have a caller, perhaps. I understood that wokeness was going to be the downfall of America. It wasn't even called woke back then. It was politically correct. But there was a specific moment where I don't even remember what the segment was, but it was a segment on Fox News. There's a whole panel. Someone says a no-no word, and the whole panel jumps on them, including all of the conservative Fox people. And I realized at that moment that no one is resisting this bullshit. Everyone is just going along with this. And if we continue on this path, if we continue to give petty, tyrannical people the ability to control our behavior through, social shaming that, there is no end to that. It will lead to the complete and total destruction. And so that's what we're seeing now, right? But despite understanding that, I resisted it. I didn't participate in it, but I wasn't organizing. I wasn't actually doing really anything to change it. One individual refusing to participate isn't going to save the world, right? I was doing the absolute bare minimum. And I really have no excuse for that. As I just said, I feel like I understand the state of the world and the future of the world and the dire consequences of not acting better than most, and yet here I was doing the absolute bare minimum. Not participating in the COVID bullshit, not participating in the woke bullshit, but not actually doing anything to change it. And so, I don't think I'm alone, right? I think there's a lot of people that probably feel familiarity with what I'm describing here, right? But we are at a time where that just simply isn't acceptable anymore. Being passive is not enough. Passively non-participation is not enough. We need real resistance. We need real organization. We are facing these existential threats extremely imminently. The flock cameras are already here. The invaders are already here. There's nothing to passively resist now. It requires actual action. And so that's what this whole show is about, is just, I realize that everyone is at a different point, right? Not everyone is going to be Chud. Not everyone is going to be a brave warrior. And while we need as many of those people as we can get, we need a hell of a lot more of those people. I understand not everyone is going to be that, and that's okay. Don't use that as an excuse to then go, well, I'm not going to be out there risking my life on the front line, so I'm just not going to do anything. No, there's still a place for you. There is still a role for you and a purpose for you. We should all be organizing on a local level and a national level. We should all be trying to find our allies, consolidate our efforts, right? And we need those warriors out in the streets. We also need people who are going to be filing FOIA requests, who are going to be filing lawsuits, who are going to be showing up to their town councils, who are going to be setting meetings with the, actual people responsible and applying direct pressure to them. Go talk to the people who are doing these horrible things to your community. Go sit down with them face to face and actually interact with them, right? These are things that literally anyone can do. You're not going to get thrown in jail for this. You're not going to get killed for this, right? There's no consequences for going and setting up a meeting with your local, council member who decided that they want to build an immigrant detention center or whatever, an immigrant hotel in your town, or set up a flock contract in your town, right? Anyone can go do these things, and we need everyone to be going and doing these things and finding people to organize with, to do them with you together. Because one person, I told that story last week about people showing up to their town council with a guillotine, right? There was like 30 people that showed up, all, anti-data center, I think this one was. And one guy shows up with a guillotine. If that guy had shown up by himself, just the guillotine guy, probably would have been arrested, certainly would have been mocked and ignored. But there was a whole group of people. He was backed by like 30 other people. And you know what actually happened? They shut down the fucking data center. They shut down the contract, right? So there is power in numbers. There's power in organization. And, last week I was struggling trying to kind of convey effectively the degree of cognitive dissonance within the right. And I'm still struggling to effectively find the messaging for that, but I'm going to try briefly, and then I'm going to get into the actual content that I'm very excited to share with you guys. But basically, I see these ideas on the right of the left are essentially cartoonish comic book levels of villains. They've got George Soros, they've got Israel, and all these things that can just do anything. I mean, literally every single person who actually takes action on the right must be a plant from the left or from the Jews. And it's this idea that not only can your enemies accomplish anything, but it also inherently with that is that like the right literally can't do anything. Right? The right is completely powerless. It's this framing, it's this cognitive dissonance that is extremely present on the right. And I'm struggling to capture it perfectly, but I hope at least some of you understand what I'm talking about. I can't stress just how pathetic it is to go through life and think about the world in these, with this framing in mind of the left can do anything because they're funded, right? Antifa gets funding from George Soros. We're trying to preserve our people, preserve our way of life, preserve our country. How much would that be worth to you? If you had a genie in front of you right now, how much money and it gave you a choice? I can give you $1 billion, or I can save the white race, save Western nations. Which would you choose? Is there a price that could be put on you abandoning your people and your country? Right? Is that not worth literally any price? And yet, you also think in this same vein of, Antifa can do anything because they get funding from George Soros. Which I don't even think is as true as people believe. Obviously, there is truth to it. But it's just kind of like what you're essentially conceding that there is a price, right? Because if you're not going out and doing this for free now, but the left can go do it because they get funding. Again, I'm struggling to frame it perfectly, but I hope that does resonate with some people. We've really got to just stop being so pathetic and helpless on the right and this victim mentality. The most effective way to destroy your enemies is to convince your enemy that they've already lost, convince your enemy that fighting back is pointless because there's nothing they can do. And it would seem that our enemies have very effectively delivered that message to the right, because that is the attitude I see, broadly speaking. There are plenty of people who are resisting, and I applaud them. It's the whole point of this show, is to move people in that direction, but there's still far too many who just feel hopeless. So I want to help you take that first step and hopefully create a ripple effect where you continue, building allies, finding allies, building organizations locally, and you help others take that first step. So what I've got for you this week is I've made some posters. Let's see, I don't even know if, hopefully I can get these up to share with you through OBS. I've been having some issues with OBS. Messed up my stream on YouTube last week, and it's just been giving me some issues. But I made these posters with Grok. It was extremely easy. I've used Grok and other AIs to make thumbnails for YouTube, and it was a massive pain in the ass. It was a massive hassle. It was a struggle. I never could get quite what I wanted. It's gotten so much better recently. Like, I don't know when this change occurred exactly, but these were really easy to make, very quick to make. Anybody can do this, but even if you don't feel comfortable doing this, my DMs on Twitter are open. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll help anybody, okay? I'll help you with whatever you need. But the idea of these posters is to give you a resource to try and organize locally against whatever cause you want. If it's, the invasion, if it is Flock, if it is, something that I haven't even thought of yet, and you have another idea, that's great. But let me go ahead and give you a look at some of these posters I whipped up real quick. I'm pretty proud of this one. I thought this one turned out really, really well. You are being watched. Flock cameras, license plate readers, social credit scores. The surveillance state is already here. COVID lockdowns were bad enough. Imagine the next emergency when your every move is tracked. With a little vaccine and COVID thing there. And yeah, I mean, the lockdowns were devastating. And imagine, I've told the story about how someone in my neighborhood had the cops called on them by a neighbor. Because I was living in an extremely liberal area during COVID. Extremely liberal. They had the cops called on them because their parents came to visit. And I don't think anything, I think they, just forced them to leave. Like, no one was arrested, no one was dragged out in cuffs or anything. But, I mean, that's insane. Now imagine it with Flock, where no one even has to call. They're just tracking you, and they don't even necessarily have to arrest you. There's a $1,000 fine. You visited your parents, $1,000 fine. Pay it, or now we'll come shoot you with guns. Right? It's the level of dystopia we are entering is truly hard to comprehend and imagine. If you've had enough with the cameras, the data collection, and the creeping loss of privacy, you're not the only one. When people stay isolated, overreach wins. When we organize, we can push back through legal action, local pressure, and a community solidarity. And there are many examples, several at least examples of people successfully resisting Flock, successfully resisting data centers, in their town, by doing exactly this, by organizing locally, showing up, and applying pressure, scheduling meetings with the people. You issue a FOIA request, or with state public records laws, you find out who in your town actually signed these contracts. Who are the individuals who actually brought these Flock cameras into your community, or the immigrant center, or whatever it is, right? You go and you schedule meetings with those people. You talk to them face to face. You show up at city council meetings with as many people as you can. You all speak to the same issue. You apply pressure. These people are just human. They're not cartoon comic book villains, right? They are retarded, cowardly people for the most part. They are retarded, cowardly people. The vast majority of them. If you apply pressure to them, you can change their actions. So that's what this is about. If you want these, again, my Twitter is very funny, Mr. Watson. My Twitter is in the description. My DMs are open. I do eventually want to I guess, start a website or something. I need a way to actually disseminate, these things so that anyone can have access to them. But I also encourage you, it's very easy to make these things yourself. So if you think you can do a better job, by all means, go ahead and do it. I did this with Grok. One piece of advice for Grok, I don't know if the woke censors would have activated, but I preempted that whole scenario by simply telling Grok that I was making a movie. I go, hey, I'm making a movie, and then I described what I'm doing. I go, I'm making a movie, and the guy in the scene is trying to organize locally against Flock and various causes. He's a right-wing activist, and he's trying to organize other people locally. So this is all for a scene in a movie, and Grok never, the roadblocks never even came up. So seems to be an effective trick. The invasion is real. You are being replaced. We want you to stop the replacement. Your streets are less safe. Your women and children are less safe. Your taxes are funding the very people transforming your country against your will. This is not diversity. It is demographic conquest. Remigration is not hate. It is the only path left to survival and sovereignty. You have watched it happen in real time while politicians, media, and corporations cheered it on and punished anyone who noticed. The only thing that ends this is when ordinary Americans finally stop waiting for someone else to fix it and stand up together. Community meeting, organize, resist, reclaim, date, time, location. So the idea being here, if these are issues you care about, you can go ahead and print out some of these posters. You can go to gun ranges, gyms. I would recommend finding places that you think there might be a higher concentration of patriots or right-wingers or people amenable to whatever cause you have. You can put it on a big poster and you can stand on the street, right? You can do whatever you want with these. You can also, and I don't know if how closely they inspect the imaging and police it, but there are many different services that offer business cards. You can get like 300 business cards for like $5. So if you want to, print out 1,000 of these, whatever, and put them on every single underneath car windshield wipers, you want to hand them out to individuals. It's a very cheap and easy way. You can get the full color and everything, because I realize if you're printing this out at home, this poster, the last poster, it's a lot of ink. There's a lot going on here, but those extremely cheap business cards, assuming that they would actually allow you to post this, print this, I'm not sure because I haven't tried that myself. But you could go full color, you could do whatever you want. And if this is too much color, again, it's very easy to take this. If you like the general concept, but you're like, that's too printer intensive, take this image, take it to Grok, and make a slightly stripped down version that's easier to print. And hopefully when I get the website up, if that's the route I go, this part will be editable, so you'll be able to actually enter in your date, time, and location. So you can set up local meetings. You can set up a local meeting to organize for this stuff, or you can just skip straight to finding when your next town council or city council or whatever is having a meeting relating to Flock or has open comments that would allow you to comment on Flock, and you can put the location and the time for that. Just try and get more people to show up to that meeting and speak their mind about it, and if these do interest you, if you are interested in doing this, I will help you as much as possible. If you want to set up a meeting, I will help tailor make an image to suit your needs. I'll help you learn how to make the images with AI if that's what you want. Once you have organized a meeting, you're going to have to speak at the meeting, right? So I will help you write a speech. I will help you as much as I possibly can. If it is going to help you take that first step to actually taking action, to actually making a difference in your community, I will help you as much as I can. DM me on X. Over time, I'm going to try and, make this more official with the website, with more resources and things like that. I've got templates for FOIA requests. It is so extremely easy to make a FOIA request. You basically just write a letter or an email to your town clerk and say, hey, here's the information I want, right? dflock.org has a lot of these resources and guides as well. So if you go to dflock.org, there's a very official resource right there for you. They have FOIA templates that you can fill out. They have suggestions on information to request with these records rules, so that you can, go, hey, how much are we paying for these flock cameras? How many arrests have actually been made, and what arrests for these flock cameras? Okay, so we've, paid $300,000 and we've made 3 arrests for parking violations, right? That could be a pretty good point to bring up and discredit these things in a city council meeting. How many times have these cameras been accessed, and by who? It's like, okay, not only law enforcement is accessing this, but perhaps insurance companies or someone else, right? So oftentimes these flock cameras have been, the data has been used explicitly in violation of state laws. I talked about the way in the locations that these are installed. These flock cameras are also often against local and state and federal safety regulations. And so, like, these flock cameras are illegally being installed. AI is a great resource to help you explore things like that. You can look up your, local safety rules very quickly, double check it, go, hey, I think this flock camera's in violation. Or you can, look up your data safety laws and go, hey, it is actually not legal for insurance companies to be accessing these things, except they are. So again, I'm happy to help people with that. I recommend people start using AI to assist themselves with that. It's extremely useful for research and understanding the laws. Don't take its word for it. Actually, use the AI to find the laws and then actually read the laws. Don't take the AI's summary of the laws, because it still hallucinates, it still gets stuff wrong. But use it to very quickly type out a sentence. It'll pull up the specific laws for you, usually provide a link for you. You can go directly to the law, read it real quick. Bada boom, bada bang, right? Your streets are less safe, your women and children are less safe, your taxes are funding the very people transforming your country against your will. This is not diversity, it is demographic conquest. Remigration is not hate, it is the only path left to survival and sovereignty. This is basically the same thing, just a different background. Invasion is real, you are being replaced. Invasion is real, you are being replaced. You've watched your country change. You've watched your privacy disappear. You have watched two-tier justice protect the criminals while punishing the rest. The only thing that stops it is ordinary citizens finally organizing together. And I also made some that would be a little bit less printer intense. Say no to Sharia, parallel societies, no-go zones, demands for Sharia, attacks on free speech and women. They arrive as immigrants and refugees, then work to remake the country in their image while branding any resistance as hate. Birth rates, chain migration, and political capture are deliberate. They are organized. We must be too. And I've got some things later to like if you saw they're very explicitly violating the First Amendment and separation of church and state. They're making Muslim councils to get explicitly more Muslims in powers of position to rule over you. Let's elect more Muslims. That's what America needs. But yeah, they are organized, and we must be too. Sharia is the goal. Your daughters are the target. In city after city, the pattern repeats. Rape gangs, grooming of underage girls, women treated as property, dogs viewed as filthy and banned from public life. Sharia is not compatible with the West. It is being imported anyway. They are organized and patient. We cannot afford to stay disorganized and silent. The one issue I did have, and it wasn't much of an issue, but the one time that Grok was telling me it couldn't make the image is I used the word girl instead of woman a few times. It doesn't like that because pretty much any context of making an image of a girl, i.e. not an adult woman, which wasn't really how I meant it, but it goes, I can't do that. That's child sexual abuse material. I can't make any images of underage women. So don't use the word girl, apparently. But otherwise, the movie Trick never had any issues. White men are not the enemy. We are the foundation. You work harder and get less. You follow the rules and still get blamed. You are told your sons are privileged, while every institution stacks the deck against them. Double standards are now the standard. Your silence is taken as consent. It does not have to stay this way. When white men build their own networks, share resources, hire each other, mentor each other, and refuse to apologize for existing, the isolation ends. Strong communities still create better lives. So yeah, if you want stronger messaging, you can make a poster with stronger messaging. You want even weaker messaging that'll apply maybe to an even broader audience, you can do that. I will help you do that. Whatever you want. It's easy to do this now. I want there to be as little excuse as possible for people who are frustrated, for people who do want things to change, but aren't actually taking the steps to change them. I want to remove as many barriers to that as possible. So, like I said, I will help you write the speeches. I will help you make the posters. I will, if you've got a totally different idea, I'll help you figure it out. But we are so far past the point where it is time to do something. And again, not everybody has to be chud. Not everybody has to be out there risking their life on a daily basis. We need more people to do that, but we don't need everyone to do that. But we do need everyone to be doing something. Do not throw up your hands and just go, what can I do? Here's things you can do. You can organize locally. You can go harass, your local politicians. You can run for local office. I told a story last week of a lady, the local office was a total of 13 votes. Right? There's some of these local positions, there's sometimes they literally don't have anyone running for them. Like if you run, you win by default. You can make a difference locally. The right has been so resistant to actually participating in politics and in activism. There's let's see, hold on just a second while I find the right tab here. Here we go. This one. This mentality is why the gun community has made such little progress compared to the legalization efforts for marijuana. Why? Like it or not, those guys had balls. They were growing illegally before it was legal. When it became medically legal, they grew more than they were allowed to grow and sold to people who didn't have a medical license. Now that it's legal, they're fighting tooth and nail to repeal the sin tax most states put into place. They made it so abundantly clear it wasn't possible to regulate it any longer that in short order, most states were essentially forced into legalization because it became an unsolvable problem. This is what 3D printing has done for guns to a degree. But now we have the opportunity to blow the NFA out of the fucking water, and you still have people saying, wait and see, don't do anything yet, guys. We haven't heard from daddy government yet to clarify every nook and cranny of the ruling. If the ruling remains, there should be 500,000 NFA transfers tomorrow. Everyone taking off the pistol braces and throw on a Magpul MOE, stocks on handguns. What will they do then? Do not give them even a moment to breathe. I certainly agree with that. If you aren't aware, the NFA is, I guess, dead now. You can get silencers. You can saw off your shotguns. You can do all sorts of fun things with your guns now, depending on the state you're in. It's not for every state. But the point here, the overall point here, is so extremely relevant, and it's relevant to the entire right wing. It's not just relevant to the gun community. And I trying to go back a little bit to that cognitive dissonance of the right, the self-inflicted helplessness of the right. I want you to think about this. Stoners, potheads, have been far more active, far more aggressive, far more, productive in fighting for their cause than the right wing has been. How many organizations, how many, protests and again, people willing to break the law for something they desire, something they believe in, compared to the right wing? Why is it that stoners and potheads, and this, applies to the left in general as well, like Antifa and, trannies and etc., they don't ask, could someone look at me the wrong way? Maybe my neighbors won't be happy with me. No, they don't give a fuck. They are pushing their message in every possible way that they can. They are running for local office. They are showing up at their town councils and complaining. There's, Alex Stein blew the fuck up because he was like the first right-winger actually going to these councils and doing something, right? But you see all these videos of these insane leftists going there. You see these disgusting, dysgenic troons saying the most insane shit. You see Somalians going and begging for reparations from the government for how they've been treated as refugees here in America. They've been allowed to come in and given free housing and free healthcare and free everything else, and it's not enough. They're comfortable going and demanding more. Where is the right? Right? You are being outclassed by literal potheads. I just want to emphasize how ingrained that self-helplessness. You aren't actually helpless. You've condemned yourself to that fate. It has not actually been condemned to you. You have done it to yourself. There's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse to remain inactive anymore. You don't have to be Chud, but you do have to be doing something. You have to be doing something. So, I think we did have a call earlier on. I wanted to get through that. It doesn't look like we've got a call anymore. But if you would like to call in now, feel free. Just click the link. I am open to hearing from people, but I wanted to get through my little speech there. I believe I've disabled video, so you're not even going to have the option to show your face. And you're calling on my phone, so you're not going to appear on the screen at all. You call in, share what you want to share. If you want to, whatever, yeah, call in, fellas. While I wait for potential calls, I do have a few other things I wanted to point out. We have confirmed that at least 1,000 non-citizens are working as police officers. I know some people support Flock. Some people think, this could be a useful tool to deport illegals, right? Well, a few things. One, things only move in one direction. And things only move in one direction because the right has neutered itself, because the right doesn't participate in these things. The right doesn't participate in activism. The right doesn't actually take the effort to push things in the other direction. They just complain online and they bottle up their feelings and they go to work and they stay silent. Or they're like me and they do the bare minimum and they keep saying retard and faggot, right? And they refuse to participate and wear the mask and stuff, but that's just not enough, right? We need to be doing more. And if you think that Flock could be good, again, things only go in one direction until we change that. But also, we've got literally illegal cops, right? The people who are using the Flock. You think the Somali illegal cop is going to use it to track down other illegal Somalis, or you think they're going to use it to make you the next Henry Novak, right? It's just it just simply doesn't reflect reality. The right really needs to come to terms with reality, and the reality is you're not helpless, and the system is against you. You can change the system. You can participate in the system. My old show was Politigoob. I almost never actually talked about politics, at least not on the national level. I do understand that probably most people watching this show feel like voting in politics is a pointless endeavor. And on the national level, I largely agree with that, right? I don't think that we can do much on that level right now. And if we ever want to do something on the national level, I think it needs to start on the local level. I think we need to get people, right? You start with yourself, then you start with your family, and then you start with your community, and you build up from there, right? You don't start from the top down, you start from the bottom up. I know what I was talking about, but I've lost where I was going with that. But yeah, start from the bottom up. Get involved. What point was I making? Whatever. It'll come to me later. My community and I were fighting against flock cameras that my town put up. Update. The entire board of trustees turned over. The town administrator responsible resigned. The mayor resigned. The cameras got taken down. Activism does work. It does. You just have to actually be active, actually participate in it. I'll skip that for now. The first illegal immigrants have been moved into Piddington today. A village of just 350 people is about to be taken over by 1,250 fighting-age third world men. Madness. Maybe you live in a good area. Maybe you live somewhere where you don't have to deal with illegals all the time. You don't have, the same problems that we see to such an extreme degree in areas like Minneapolis and California, etc. That doesn't mean you're safe from it. This is a town of 350 people. They're getting 4 times that in illegal invaders, just being brought in against their will without their consent, right? You need to be fighting against these things before they even come to you, ideally. If your town doesn't have any of these problems yet, that's a good thing. You can't just shrug your shoulders, though, and go, well, I'm safe. No, you're not. You need to be actively participating, making sure that nothing like this ever could happen. Run for your town council. Run for your school board. Look at the people who are actually being elected. We have illegals, not only as cops, but as mayors in America, as, heads of school boards, as heads of city councils, and filling out the board as well. You have people who are visibly retarded. Visibly retarded. Not only, when they open their mouth, obviously they're completely retarded. But like there's people who are visibly mentally ill and retarded who are running and winning these positions on your local level and even on the national level. But look at your competition and ask yourself, am I better than that person? Am I really so pathetic that I couldn't take that position from them? That I couldn't, if a literal retard, a mentally ill retard, can win an election and push through their agenda, are you less competent than them? Get active. Get involved. I haven't done it yet, but I am an exceptional researcher. If you're interested in history at all, I recommend you check out some of my videos on NAGPRA. I spent a year doing extremely in-depth research into that, and I understand it better than almost anyone in the world. It's a very crazy situation. History is being made illegal. It has been made illegal. It is literally illegal for the public to view American history. That's not hyperbole. That is what NAGPRA does very explicitly. The point I'm making here is that I plan to research local elections and politics. I want to be a resource for people, right? Because I get it's intimidating. You've never been involved in politics before, and now I'm telling you to go out and run. So I want to be a resource for anyone who is interested in actually doing that. I want to be able to help you as much as possible. So I haven't done that research yet. It's going to take some time. I don't know how long it will take, but I'm going to be working on that. So if any of you do want to run for mayor, town council, school board, whatever it might be, and you want to know how much change can you actually affect, what can you actually do, how can you run an effective campaign, etc., whatever you might need help with, I'm going to be doing that research to be able to answer those questions for you. I want to be able to be a resource, again, to remove as many barriers as possible. Whatever excuse you have for not getting involved, I want to help remove those excuses. But you have to get involved. If politics isn't your thing, join an active club. Join Patriot Front, right? Which obviously those are political as well, but in a slightly different vein. Join Return to the Land. Return to the Land is an organization that you can join that you don't have to go to their property, right? Like they are building a town. And if you want to go help them build that town, go ahead and do that. I think that's a good goal, a worthy goal. But there are a lot of people who are in Return to the Land who don't live there, have no intention of living there, right? They are also just building a broader network of white people so that we can support each other's businesses, so that we can help each other grow and thrive and support each other, right? So join Return to the Land, join a more activist group like an active club or Patriot Front, and get involved in local politics. Harass, right, your local politicians to put pressure on them over flock, over immigration, over whatever issue you want. You got to get involved. Just voter fraud stuff. This is my state, actually. This is something I should be getting involved in. We know the left cheats, right? Which is one of the reasons why national level politics is kind of a wasted effort. And while I say national politics is a wasted effort because you have the left, which are Bolsheviks. They're, communists. That's obviously not a good thing. They're pro-Islam, pro-communism, which is a strange combo, but nonetheless. And then you have the right, which are essentially Israel's puppets. Like, neither of these parties are actually working for our interests. Having said that, I would still recommend voting for the Republican. At least the majority of the time. Vivek Ramaswamy might be an example where maybe you don't. But generally speaking, I would recommend voting for a Republican, not because they will save you. They will not save you. I want people to be very clear in understanding that, J.D. Vance is not going to... Trump was not your great hero that saved America. J.D. Vance is not going to be your great hero. None of them are going to be this great hero that saves America. But the degree of decline, right, the rapidness of the decline, the rapidness of the destruction of America, it will be faster with the Democrats. So while we do start from the ground up, which we don't have a lot of time to do this, we need to be aggressive, like the potheads. It's kind of a funny statement, right? The based right-wingers need to be more aggressive like the potheads are. The based, angry right-wingers who are fighting to preserve their people, who, again, there's no price that would be worth exchanging for the future of our people, for the future of our countries. There's no one who has more reason to be angry, to be active, to be participating in these things than right-wingers. But compared to the potheads, we need to be more aggressive like the potheads. We need to be less passive, unlike the potheads. Just trying to point out the insanity of how brainwashed the right has been, how effective the psyops at convincing the right that, actually doing anything is not only ineffective, but somehow counterproductive. That in order to win, you have to do nothing, right? Stand back, stand by, and trust the plan. No longer. But yeah, they do cheat. You should be making efforts to make it more difficult for them to cheat. And again, not everyone has to do everything. You're not going to be Chud and running for mayor and fighting against... Have you guys... I guess you guys have been able to hear me this whole time. I have some settings muted. I think this is why my audio was funky last week. My audio quality. I've got to figure out which of these audios is the best one to be using. Sorry, I got distracted. I need to spend some time with OBS. But yeah, you're not going to be able to do all of these things all at once. It is okay to choose one thing. If you want to do everything you can to secure the elections, fine. Be that person. Go become a poll watcher. Go, speak at town councils and all that on things related to this. Organize locally. No matter what cause you're doing, we should all be trying to organize on a local level. We should all be trying to find our allies. We should all be cooperating with like-minded individuals as much as possible. Again, that guy shows up with the guillotine by himself, most likely arrested. At the very least, he's just ignored and mocked and, dismissed. That doesn't do anything. You have 30 other people show up with the guy with the guillotine. Now all of a sudden, things are changing, right? So no matter what your cause is, organize locally. Pick at least one cause and start participating. 70% of its total housing given to illegal immigrants on one street. Again, these things. The invasion of Sweden, I guess it's Sweden, not Cuda, but the invasion of Sweden has happened again. Tens of thousands more invaders have poured over the border. Don't wait for that to be your town. It will be. If we continue on the trajectory we are on, That will be your town. That will be every town, America. Every single one. We will be invaded. We will be surveilled under the surveillance state. The invaders will do, anarcho-tyranny. They'll rape our women with impunity. Not only impunity, with assistance. You look at what's happened in the UK, and it is happening here. Not in every town here like it is in the UK, but it is happening here as well, where not only are they raping with impunity, they are literally being assisted by the police. There are examples, many examples from the UK where the police are like literally transporting the girls to the rapists, where they are refusing to return the girls to their parents, where they are stopping the parents from recovering the girls themselves. But if you, were to look at an invader the wrong way, you'll be arrested. So, that is the future. We are heading towards a future where you do get thrown in jail for refusing to suck the tranny nigger cock, which that's a joke that I've been saying for a while, right? And every time I say it, I point out, like, yes, that is humorous. That is funny. I am saying it as a joke, and I 100% mean it. That is a reality we are heading towards. As stupid as and insane as that sounds, that is an actual reality we are heading towards. Do you want your son to go to jail because he refused to suck the tranny nigger cock? Get active. Honestly, this might end up being one of the biggest culture battles of all time. If we let white vanguard get outnumbered, we've let our side down immeasurably. This is Saturday 22nd, so, next week, they keep moving around the locations and stuff, but, yeah, more people are getting active. It is very good to see more people getting active. Phone lines are still open, fellas. Feel free to call in. Support your warriors, right? I've spent so much time over the last year talking about how anybody at any level can take the next step. Maybe you are someone who has spent your entire life avoiding conflict. You're someone who has, that is most people, by the way, right? Most people go to like pretty extreme lengths to avoid conflict on a daily basis. They are extremely conflict averse. They're not used to it. And so, I've used the example of like, if that's you, even you can take that next step to doing something. One, you can find people like White Vanguard. You can find people who are braver than you. People like Chud. People who are fighting back, being vocal, being visible. And you can go introduce yourself to them. Thank them for what they are doing. Let them know you appreciate their bravery. Maybe try to befriend them. See if some of their bravery will rub off on you. You can go to the park, find a random group of people, and start a conflict with them. Something silly, right? I use the example of arguing that Vanilla Ice is a better rapper than Eminem, right? Just something that most people would obviously look at you. It doesn't have to be that. Come up with your own example. Something that isn't actually going to be a high, conflict scenario. Like you don't go up and approach people like Chud if you're just trying to introduce yourself to being comfortable with conflict, and say, hey, shouldn't white people be able to say nigger too? Just use something silly, but something ridiculous. Something that people will look at you like you're an insane person for saying, and then just double down, double down, double down. You can laugh in their face, you can mock them, but you never, practice not showing weakness. Practice being obstinate in the face of a group of people looking at you like you're insane. Most people are not used to doing that. So, wherever you are in life, And I've taken this, again, if you want to watch my old streams, I've gone from the, that person, the most conflict averse person, trying to offer steps they can take, little baby steps, all the way up to, more radical people, but anywhere in between there, no matter where you are on the spectrum, you need to be striving to do more today than you did yesterday, to be braver today than you were yesterday. And again, striving to be braver and to do more tomorrow than you did today. You need to be striving to find people like you in your community to ally yourself with, to organize with, to affect change, to impose your will upon the world. And don't let excuses like, well, I'm fat. Well, I'm, whatever. I have this long list of things that I need to get together in my life first before I can go do anything out in the world. You probably do. You probably do have a bunch of shit you need to get in order in your life. And that's a good thing to do. You need to get those things in order. Don't use it as an excuse to not do things in the world, right? You can do both at the same time. You can exercise and you can show up to a town council meeting, even while you're fat, right? Massachusetts moves to create a Muslim commission to help place Muslims in government and shape state policy. The bill orders it to identify and recommend qualified American Muslims for appointive positions at all levels of government. Yeah, this is literally a violation of the First Amendment. Insane. But this is what your enemies are doing. They are organizing. They are wielding political power. They are carrying out their conquest. And again, if you are like I've been for the last 20 years, where you go, I'm not happy about that, and maybe I'll express that online, and maybe I'll even express that in person, but I'm not going to go to the town council. I'm not going to organize with my community to resist this. I'm not going to actually go march in the street with an organization like Patriot Front. Then they are going to do exactly what they aim to do. Until normal people like you, like me, stand up and start resisting these things in a real way, these things will just continue happening. We are not just an activist organization. We are a brotherhood, a community of families, a nation within a nation, strong families, strong nations. It starts with yourself. You impose your will first upon yourself, then you impose it upon your family, upon your local community, and that blossoms out into you opposing your world upon your will upon the world itself, right? And again, just think about the fact that stoners, troons and trannies, mentally ill faggots, have all been more effective at imposing their will upon the world than we have been. Think about how pathetic that is. And it is not because our enemies are comic book level villains. They're not. They're really not. Most of them are complete and utter retards, mentally ill retards, soy boy faggots, beta males, mentally ill retards. And we have stood by and watched and allowed them to impose their will upon the world while we post edgy things online, right? That has to end. So I'm going to read through chat. Now is a great time to call in if you want. Also, again, with the posters, if you want any of those, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I will give you those. If you want a different poster, right? If you want a poster for a different cause, or you want one for one of those causes, but you want it to look different, you want me to help you with that, hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open. Whatever, like, if you need some counseling, if you're like, I'm fat and I need help being less fat, I know quite a bit about things like that. I can help you out. Whatever it is, whatever your excuse, whatever your barrier is for getting involved, whatever it is that is giving you hesitation, because we all understand these things need to change. And I hope we all understand that, like, they only change once people take action to change them. There is no Big Daddy government is not going to come save you, right? There is no savior from the national level that is going to come in and just fix everything. That is not going to happen. At least not until we take the action we need to take on a local level. So, if you don't save yourself, no one's going to come and do it for you. So whatever your hang up is, whatever your hesitation is, reach out to me. I will do everything in my power to help you overcome that. And I mean it so sincerely. Please reach out to me. But yeah, going to read through chat. And if no one does want to call in, that's fine. And I'll catch you guys next week. But feel free to share your experience of how you've gotten involved, or the reason why you're not involved. If anyone is listening to this and they have not taken steps to do any of the things I'm talking about, I would love to hear why. I would love to hear why. Why are you still hesitant to get involved in a real way? Why are you not printing out signs and hanging them up locally and building a local network of people, of like-minded individuals, right? Why have you not joined a national group like Patriot Front or an active club or Return to the Land? Return to the Land especially, like, again, not everyone's a warrior. Not everyone is cut out for Patriot Front. That's fine. Return to the Land is simply a network of white people. You don't have to go march in the streets to be a part of Return to the Land. You just sign up and you now are part of a growing network of white people. So why haven't you done that? Why haven't you gone to your town council meeting? What is it? I would like to hear from you. If you have a reason why you're still not doing these things, I'd like to hear from you. Just reading through chat, fellas. So I know dead air is like the worst thing for for a stream. It's the gravest sin you can commit, but it is also a little bit difficult to talk about things in a meaningful kind of way while reading through chat. I can kind of ramble on like this and give you something that is nothing to listen to, but wear a cape, bro. It's surprise tactics. You know, I know that's probably sort of a joke and it's a little silly, and that's fine. But yeah, aesthetics matter. Aesthetics matter. Be different. Be bold. Display your ideals on when I did live in that extremely leftist area during COVID. I would wear shirts. I made a bunch of shirts that said "fuck commies," and that was my daily wear. Like, I had a bunch of. I don't remember exactly how many, but I certainly had enough for every day of the week, and that was my daily wear. Display, separate yourself from the normal people. Separate yourself from the retarded masses, and I think that's the best way to find allies. right? If you see someone like that, go and approach them, introduce yourself to them, but also make yourself approachable. Make it so that if someone else is looking for allies, they can identify you. And I know that probably makes some people nervous because that means your enemies can identify you as well. Again, I wore these shirts every day in peak BLM, peak COVID, in an extremely, extremely leftist area. And I was fine. You know, I'm not going to say it's absolutely risk-free, but I really think it's massively overblown. The right has, again, you know, any excuse to remain inactive. They've inflated these fears to a degree that is in no way representative of reality. But yeah, aesthetics matters. Displaying your beliefs visibly matters. Horrific dog experiment. I have no idea what you're talking about, Drew. I know you are a dog lover, but lamb is my favorite meat. Great choice, Drew. All right. There is one more chat for me to read through, and again, phone lines are open. Feel free to call in. But if not, I'll just read through this other chat, and then I'll catch you guys next week. And again, my Twitter is in the comments. If you want any of these posters, if you want me to make you your own poster, if you want to learn how to make these posters, if you want any assistance whatsoever, hit me up. My DMs are open. Okay. Reading through the final chat. Last opportunity to call in. Oh, Gulag, you built a call-in system. That's very cool. I mean, I dual stream to YouTube, so I think I don't know. Maybe I can use that in addition to what I'm doing here. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that out because with the dual stream, I don't know how exactly that would work. I probably won't be able to use that because I don't know exactly how it works, but I'd assume that at the very least the YouTube side wouldn't be able to hear and see them. Although maybe they would because I can pull the audio from. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. That sounds interesting. I will look into that. I did not know that. Yeah, if Jews lobby, I hope we can, right? There is a reason why every single PSYOP aimed at the right wing for the last several decades has been with the goal of keeping us demoralized and disorganized. There's the fear that right-wingers have, right? Like, I'm sure you guys have seen this. I'm sure you've encountered it. Maybe you are one of these people, right? But there is, like, this very strong fear of literally getting a group together. If you organize a group of white people, you're going to be raided by the feds. You're going to be thrown in jail. You're going to be executed immediately, you know? It's like your life is literally over if you just organize, not even doing anything, just the idea of organizing as white people. A lot of people have this conception that, like, that means your life will be over. Your life will be ruined. That's obviously a ridiculous idea. It's not true at all. But like the reason why they have gone through such great lengths, our enemies have gone to such great lengths to convince white people that that is the case, is because that is the only thing that could stop them. And again, look at your enemies and ask yourself, who is more pathetic? The faggot in the dress with brain damage, or yourself? Because right now, and for the last few decades, we have been allowing the faggot in the dress with brain damage to be more effective than we have been. That's insane. That is fucking insane, and I can't even quantify how pathetic it is. It's time to stop being pathetic. We can lobby, we can organize, we can do these things. You can include QR codes on modern business cards. Yes, you absolutely can. I don't actually have a QR code to link to anything right now, but I also, even if I did, I didn't want to use QR codes on these posters because a lot of people have. I wanted it to be appealing to as broad of an audience as possible, and like there are people who aren't. Scanning a public QR code is not necessarily a great idea, and there's a lot of people who aren't going to do it. I want to, for things like Flock especially, like for this, I would want to attract boomers. I want to attract as many people as possible. If there's housewives, 60-year-old housewives or whatever that I can get to show up to town council meetings, like I want them. I want to attract them. So yeah, I didn't do QR codes. I tried to keep the language and the imaging, somewhat reasonable, if you will, not too extreme and stuff. But again, I'll help you make whatever version you want. But yeah, you can include QR codes on business cards. They are extremely. The only thing I don't know is how friendly they are to like political messaging. I don't even know if they check the images that they're printing out. But yeah, business cards are a very, very cheap and effective way to make, like, the color on this would not be an issue. The color on this would not be an issue. They'll print that, no problem. It'll be high quality. It'll look great. And you'll spend like $5 for like 300 of them. So you'd like to ask for research on how much vegetation and wildlife have been destroyed. If there's a reason for that you are then going to turn into real world activism, I actually would help you with that. But if you just want to know that information to do nothing with it, or to post it online, you can do that yourself. I'm interested in helping people do things in the real world. It is all worse than they tell us, 100%. Yeah, the farm bill. I don't know which farm bill you're talking about because there's a lot of them, but farming is under attack. Everything is under attack. It is all... You know what? I might share a personal story from just this week. I've talked about the destruction of heroes, the intentional destruction of heroes from, it comes from every angle. The destruction of our architecture, NAGPRA, the erasure of our history, all of these things, everything, No Child Left Behind, everything, it all is done deliberately to destroy even the possibility of heroes. And when a hero does arise despite all of those efforts, like Charlie Kirk, there's other means to deal with them. But we've had so few people that could even vaguely be considered a hero, because our entire society is designed to eliminate them and make us dependent on the government and corporations. And so there is a war on farmers as well, a very serious war on farmers. If your only option for food is the supermarket, and you must have, we're like, you see these shops popping up where like you scan your credit card to go into the shop, and then there's not even any employees in there. You just take what you want and then you go out, right? Okay, so you can't pay in cash there anymore. Obviously, more and more businesses are moving away from cash purchases. So you need your credit card. And how many people have been stripped of their ability to use credit cards because they have been like politically active on the right? We already have this social credit score system in America now, but it's still relatively within its infancy phases. It won't be for long, especially with all of the flock cameras and everything else that are being installed. And so when your only option is for food, because you're legally not allowed to grow it yourself, and they have drones flying above looking for people growing their own crops, raising their own chickens, raising their own animals, and they will come bust down your door, and stop you from doing that. And so the only way you can get food is from the grocery store, where now you can't even enter without your credit card, and you don't have your credit card because you were right wing or whatever it was. That is the future that is very rapidly approaching. We are not in a situation right now where being politically active is a death sentence. We're nowhere near that. I mean, we're in time, we're actually very, very close to it. But as far as like the actual consequences that people are facing today, obviously there are examples that are contradicting what I'm saying, like January 6th. But if you are not being retarded, I think the people that went into the building were retarded that day. If you are not being retarded, you are still able to organize. You're still able to be politically active. You're still able to do a hell of a lot. You can look at Zach X on Twitter. He's out there shouting at Muslims every fucking day. There's a lot more room to operate than people believe there is, but there won't be for long. The walls are closing in. We either push this stuff back and start getting rid of it now, or there will not be an opportunity to do so in the future. It will be entirely too late. All of those fears that are imagined will be real in the near future. So, resist the farm bills, resist all of it. The farm stuff is actually very, very concerning and very, very serious. You're talking about weed. I was talking about other farm bills, regardless. If this were to happen somewhere I live, I covered this already, but I just want to emphasize it again. If you are somewhere where these things aren't happening, first of all, you're wrong. Right? I can almost guarantee you do have Flock or some other company being installed or planned to being installed where you are. There is a problem. There is something that you should be resisting wherever you are. And if somehow you are somewhere where you are in, Paradise America, where literally none of this is a problem for you, great. Still get involved. Still go become mayor then, and make sure this shit never happens where you live. There's no excuse for anyone to sit there going, nope, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to be involved in this. We all do. Yeah, look at Springfield, Ohio. If you live in a safe place, make sure it stays that way. I did not know there's an age limit for RTTL. That's actually very surprising to me because, they are not exclusive. Like, I could understand an age limit for actually moving into their community, but there's a general age limit just for joining That surprises me. I do have an interesting story to share. I'm almost done with chat. The only thing I can imagine doing locally is trying to have the media do a piece on flock cameras. Okay, that would be a good thing to strive for, but why is that the only thing you can imagine doing locally? Why not show up at your town council and organize a group to show up with you to get rid of the flock cameras? What about your local schools? Any issues with that? Are they maybe pushing fag, tranny shit propaganda to your children? Maybe you could apply, or not apply, but run for school board or organize something against that. Like, you're not using your imagination if the only thing you can imagine doing is having the media do a piece on flock cameras. There's an endless amount of things that you could be doing. An old man kicked your ass over your armband. FBI visited me in media smear pieces by ADL. That sucks, right? And yeah, it's not risk-free. There's also different degrees of risk. I assume you were wearing a Nazi armband, like a swastika armband, because I'm not sure what other armband would be referred to as just an armband. I wore a shirt that said "fuck commies," and I was fine. I got into some very minor altercations, nothing physical. But there's degrees to it. So if you can't handle an old man, and an old man is able to kick your ass, maybe tone it down a little bit. Or not, if you're willing to accept that as a potential consequence, keep wearing your armband. But yeah, I would still encourage you to continue pushing, continue being visible, even if it's not with your armband. It could be with something that is slightly less extreme, but still delivering a message, right? I do encourage people to find their... Again, not everyone is chud. Find what you can do and then do that. Not everyone can do everything. I don't expect everyone to do everything. But I do expect you to do as much as you reasonably can do. Okay. So, speaking... That was 4 years ago that guy had the age limit on RTTL, so maybe it's not a part of it anymore. Speaking on the destruction of heroes, the demoralization of the right wing, the demoralization of the American people themselves. I've talked also about bricks and minifigs and how that is the standard approach for corporate America. I've experienced this myself several times before. The pattern is always the same. I had my car insurance canceled. It was an error in their system. It was illegally canceled. I'm still working to sort through all of this and get everything straightened out. But my car insurance was canceled with no notice and with no reason due to an error in their system. I found out because the charges stopped coming. Again, I was never contacted in any way. And so I reached out to my insurance agent, and they didn't know my insurance was canceled illegally by them. And so anyways, their response was to blame me for them canceling my insurance with no reason and no notice, was to refuse to accept any responsibility, even though they acknowledged that it was their fault, never apologize, never, and then refuse to do anything to fix it. And I go, okay, so you're telling me you can't do anything this is all corporate. So I call up corporate. They tell me, we can't do anything. This is all your agent. Go back to the agent. I go, this is corporate saying this is you guys. You're saying it's corporate. I was like, can you provide me any? You're refusing to do anything. You're refusing to fix your records. You're refusing to do absolutely anything to assist me. Can you provide me contact information for someone who maybe can, right? They refuse to even do that. They start getting hostile with me. They start acting like I am the problem. They eventually get to the point where they're just hanging up the phone on me and refusing to take my calls. By the way, I'm being ridiculously patient and calm with these people, much more patient and calm with them than they're being with me, despite me being the only person to have any reason to be upset and frustrated by all of this. But this is like the corporate playbook where they just deflect, they avoid, they stonewall you. They go, oh yeah, that's corporate's problem. Corporate goes, oh yeah, that's the agent's problem. I've been through this process with other things in the past. It's the same pattern every time. It's the exact same thing that Bricks and Minifigs did. If you followed that whole very viral Lego scandal with Reckless Ben et al. And that is a very powerful, when your entire society is structured around such a ridiculous bureaucracy, such as that, it is incredibly demoralizing. In the past, someone comes to your house and steals your horse, you kill the horse thief. You are wronged by someone, and you are able to right that wrong very directly by confronting that individual. But now, who would I even go confront about this? The agent say it's not them. The corporate says it's not them, and okay, it's a whole corporation. Who am I? I guess I go Luigi Mangione, right? It's like there's no there. This is very directly related to the death of heroes, and it's very related to the overall demoralization of America and the passivity that we have all embraced, because you don't even have the ability to confront the people that have wronged you now, because the people that have wronged you are this faceless bureaucracy, and they can just do and treat you however the fuck they want. And what are you to do about it? And God forbid you decide to try and not go along with this mistreatment from the faceless bureaucracy. Now men with guns will come and storm in your door and shoot you, right? So it is, you either comply or die, and it's a humiliation ritual throughout the entire thing, throughout every step of the process. So our entire society has been designed to eliminate even the possibility of heroes. It is a very serious thing. It's not good. It's not good. These things need to change. We need to change them. I did... don't think anyone tried to call. Whoever's call I missed in the beginning of the show, I apologize. But I did want to get through my speech. Call in next week, though. You're going to have a better chance of getting through once I've gotten through whatever I want to present. Sometimes, some weeks, I will just take your call immediately, but this week I was excited for what I had to present, and I wanted to get through that before taking any calls. But anyways, hit me up on Twitter. I will help you. I will provide as much help as I possibly can. Whatever I can do to help you take that next step. For many of you, I believe the next step is the first step, right? For many of you, I believe, I don't know this for certain, but I believe that many of the people watching this show have yet to take that first step. Many of you have, and I thank you for it. I applaud you for it. But for those of you who haven't, let me help you. Hit me up on Twitter. I will have a conversation for you. We will figure this out together. Whatever hesitation is causing you to hesitate, I'll help you through it. We'll figure it out. And if, even if you have taken that first step, also feel free to hit me up. I'll help you take the next step. So, catch you next week, fellas, and peace out.